But I never believe you.
Okay.
I'm not saying you're a liar, but you tell mistruths.
I don't know mistruths, but if she wants to play some Yahoo Pool, then please get her in touch.
It's a tired Tom Shires.
And I'm still Mike Island.
And this is the Shires and Islands Agenda on More Music Variety HWD Hospital Radio and on the Shires and Island Network on YouTube.
And if you want awards, goss and film news, then we are one of the many places you can go.
Well, we're the best place. Also, let's hope that Mike Island has the Midas touch in our quiz. May contain spoilers.
Gold, I like the reference.
Was that it?
That was it.
Now! It's time for this week's Big Three. Is it still appropriate to sing Rule Britannia? They do it at the proms, don't they?
It depends where you
Is it Land of Hope and Glory or Rule Britannia they do the proms?
Land of Hope and Glory.
Alright, because Rule Britannia is a bit more kind of empire colonial. I'm just wondering if saying...
They're all quite pomp and circumstance and bombastic.
Yeah, but saying Rule Britannia, I'm not sure whether it's kosher nowadays.
I still think it's one of those phrases like England expects. You can still use, and it has somewhat become culturally divorced from the original intent.
Alright, so if I say best of British, that's better. Should have just done that in the first place.
Do you want to go back?
No.
Okay, so it was the British stars that were claiming at least some of the glory on the night of the Golden Globes, which were held at some point in the past, because we don't like to give out, especially when we're recording this, if you thought it was live. And Olivia Colman, Christian Bale.
Yeah, whenever you click play on YouTube, we're sat there. We have nothing better to do.
You can live stream on YouTube, can't you?
Absolutely, you can.
So Olivia Colman, Christian Bale, Richard Madden, and Ben Whishaw were among the British stars who were winners in both film and television categories. Coleman was honoured for her role as Queen Anne in The Favourite. Bale claiming
The Favourite Bale.
In The Favourite Bale. Comma. Bale.
Pronounce your commas, please.
Bale, Welsh, won for playing his part as the US Vice President, ex-US Vice President, Dick Cheney in Vice, which I don't think has been released over here yet.
I don't think so either. Mrs. Shires saw the acceptance speech and said how weird his accent is. Because psychologically we all think he's American, even though he's not. He's Welsh, but born and raised in London, I think.
Yes, but then he moved over to the United States, I think, when he was about 12. So, yeah, he's living most of his life over there. And he had the policy, didn't he, when he was playing The Dark Knight, that in all his media work he used his American accent because he thought it would be strange for people who were in the United States to think that Batman might be Welsh.
Yeah, bit of a geezer.
Okay, so he won it for playing Dick Cheney. Richard Madden, formerly Robb Stark in Game of Thrones. Maybe he's still around, maybe he isn't.
Probably not.
Probably not. And Ben Whishaw, who plays a bear. They won for their TV roles in Bodyguard and A Very English Scandal. I have to say, haven't seen any of those.
Why not?
Haven't been to see The Favourite yet because I think it only came out in the last week. We mentioned that Vice isn't out in the cinemas.
What about the telly ones?
Bodyguard just never appealed to me. I think it was a bit overwrought, would have been my opinion.
Not enough Whitney.
Is that what you...
Needs more Whitney.
Okay. And Very English Scandal. I think the story of Jeremy Thorpe and what went on with him is very interesting, but I wasn't that bothered about sitting through, I think it was about 4-part drama, all about it. Other big talking points from the awards... Bohemian Rhapsody, claiming the...
It's a proper film, Mike, apparently.
Best
proper film.
Well, is it, though? Is it really? I leave that question open. But Rami Malek certainly getting a lot of credit for his performance as Freddie Mercury. He was the best actor in a feature.
We said on this here programme that it was or it might have been off air, I'm not sure. We've said it, be it recorded
We're always
or
live.
otherwise, always waiting for you, that it was a great performance in a not-so-great film, yet the results from the Golden Globes seemingly fly in the face of that chat.
It's the Hollywood Foreign Press Association, I think, that are the voting delegates for the Golden Globes. Is there perhaps an argument that they were swayed, positively or negatively, by the fact that it has got a huge following now, that Bohemian Rhapsody has become a crowd pleaser, and maybe there's a feeling that recent awards, be it Oscars, be it BAFTAs, be it whatever, haven't been recognising popular films?
You mean judging bodies might not be objective?
Well, I'm just saying that we've had the whole discussion about the Oscars most popular film category before. Maybe it has actually started something going, look, this is clearly getting people's interest, this is getting people going to the cinemas. Perhaps it should get some recognition. We should take it a bit more seriously.
Yeah, but at the same time, it's the best film that should win.
I think actually the most interesting thing about the Golden Globes is the way they divide drama and comedy/musical. Do you think that is the right way to do it?
Maybe, and therefore Bohemian Rhapsody becomes a drama
It was cast as a
rather
drama
than being a musical film.
Yeah, which seemed to be the way the Golden Globes went. In terms of other big
They
winners,
don't know what they're doing.
other big winners on the night, Alfonso Cuarón's Netflix-produced black and white 1970s Mexico set drama Roma, that, as I say, won 2. Green Book scooped 3 prizes: Best Musical or Comedy Film, Best Screenplay, and Best Supporting Actor for Mahershala Ali, who of course won the Best Actor Oscar a couple of years ago. It hasn't been released again, I don't think, in this country yet, although I could stand to be corrected on that one. It's co-stars
Sat down.
Viggo Mortensen, and tells the story of how an African-American musician hires an Italian-American driver to take him on a tour of the Deep South. And I think there's been some controversy because Viggo Mortensen used an inappropriate term in an early press discussion about the film, but since then there's been a mea culpa on his part, and it seems to be gaining some momentum again going into the big awards season.
How much stock do we take then heading to the Oscars from what we've seen in the past few days?
I think it's fair to say that the Golden Globes aren't always the best guide, but other than actually winning awards, I don't see what much films can do when it gets to this stage. It is, if people haven't already made up their mind, they're probably going to go with what is claiming the attention at the moment, and therefore I do have to think that when it comes to British chances at the Oscars, Olivia Colman must be in with a shout.
Let this agenda be a particularly unpleasant and humiliating one.
You're listening to the Shires and Ireland Agenda. Daniel Craig apparently shunning after parties, shunning the alcohol. He's in training to be James Bond 007.
I thought he was just because he was going to say he's looking after a new baby.
Well, that too.
Okay.
He actually decided that he was just going to go home and look after the little one rather than enjoy the revelry after the BAFTAs.
Okay, so was that the awards? So he's pre-announcing that he's not.
Yes,
going to
yes,
do it.
yeah.
Oh, okay, he just wanted it out there so people weren't worried about him. But I'm back at home. Just don't give me 2 rings just to check.
I thought it was 3. What's 2 rings?
It was always 2 rings. Wasn't it?
Oh, more efficient.
I suppose so. So yeah, unsurprisingly again, Olivia Colman up for the Best Actress honour at the forthcoming BAFTA Awards. In fact, the favourite, 12 nominations, so it is very much living up to its title. Its nearest rival is Bohemian Rhapsody. Also, A Star Is Born, First Man and Roma. They've got 7.
First Man, there you go again.
7 nominations each. By the way, Early Man, the follow-up to First Man, no nominations. It's the first time a Nick Park Aardman movie hasn't been nominated.
It's on the DVD pile, hasn't been watched yet, but I know people are quite fond of it.
I think people are quite fond of it, but I'm not sure whether there was quite the acclaim that usually goes with an Aardman production. In terms of the other British nominees in terms of acting, Steve Coogan for playing Stan Laurel
Yes.
in Laurel and Hardy.
Hardy's the larger of the two.
Christian Bale, once again. Claire Foy for her role as Neil Armstrong's wife in First Man.
First Man, there you go. Check it.
Rachel Weisz for her role as the supporting. I think it's actually interesting about The Favourite, because I was kind of under the impression from the way I read it, the initial sort of descriptions of the film, it would have been Rachel Weisz and Emma Stone that were the two co-leads, and it was Olivia Colman that would be the supporting actress. But when it comes to awards recognition, it's very much gone the other way around. And also,
is there an algorithm or a formula for that? Is it a screen time thing, or do they just choose who they like best?
Well, I don't think there is the one that everyone always goes to when it comes to amount of screen time and in terms of recognition at award ceremonies was
Judi Dench, no?
Judi Dench, very much so. I think it was in it for about 7 minutes in Shakespeare in Love and got the Best Supporting Actress Oscar. And also Hannibal Lecter, who am I thinking of?
Anthony Hopkins?
Anthony Hopkins. Again, I think only in it for about 7 minutes and gets the Best Actor Oscar.
So it's purely down to performance, not time spent on screen.
Yeah,
so if you have
impact you make, I guess.
If you have a blistering 5 seconds on screen, it could be enough.
It could be. And also Richard E. Grant, finally up for...
They seek him here, they seek him there. That's 2 mentions in as many weeks, I think. Might be 3 weeks ago when we mentioned.
He said he's absolutely chuffed to bits after getting recognised for playing a con artist, a sort of companion, really, of Melissa McCarthy's central character in Can You Ever Forgive Me? So maybe that is one to look out for on the night. But I do always quite like it when character actors finally get some recognition. So, yes, the BAFTAs coming up on the 10th of February. Are we hosting this year? Have we been approached?
No, we're too busy.
We're too busy, so it's Joanna Lumley again. She's who you call if you can't get Shires and Ireland.
Flash, I love you, but we only have 14 hours to save the agenda.
You're listening to the Shires and Ireland Agenda. Staying with awards and then moving slightly away from them, we covered it when the announcement was made that Kevin Hart would host the Oscars. We then covered the story when, due to some social media posts, historically I think it was, wasn't it?
It was kind of weird in that we, again the show is recorded, we discussed the fact that he was announced, then when it came to the playlist we had to put a link to the story that he'd withdrawn.
It is the Shires and Ireland curse. And now he's made a statement in the not-too-distant past saying that he definitely is not taking the gig.
Yes, because Ellen DeGeneres seemed to be getting...
She was going to talk him into it. Bit of pressure.
Yeah, because she's hosted it in the past herself, and you'd sort of think, is she doing herself out of work? But anyway, she tried to talk him into it when he appeared as a guest on her talk show, and he did admit that he was evaluating whether he should reverse his decision. But then later on, a couple of days later, he spoke to ABC's Good Morning America, which isn't the same as Good Morning Britain. It's a whole other hemisphere away. I'm not hosting the Oscars this year, is what Kevin Hart told them. Given the controversy that surrounded his initial decision to back down, although it was, to all intents and purposes, it does seem like he was told that you won't be doing it. Are you surprised that it's rumbled on? Or is it sort of the case now that it is getting that close to the Oscars ceremony, 24th of February, that if they don't get someone in straight away, maybe they do need to go back and think again? Because I think there's talk today, whichever day this is taking place on, that they're not going to have a proper host.
They'll just have the people come on and
they'll just have
present
a series of people coming on to present awards, which...
Why not? Just get on with it.
Because you think it's too long anyway, so chop it down by getting rid of the excess.
Yeah, this show doesn't have an opening monologue for a reason. There's two of us.
That's a big reason.
I just think also, is all this umming and ahhing in public, which is quite interesting, a way of testing the waters as to whether, is it more a case of him being accepted back? It's not a case of him saying he still wants the job. Is it a case actually really of the American public and the larger movie watching public saying that it's okay, you can present the Oscars? Is he almost waiting for permission from somewhere or something.
Maybe so. He's talking about the fact that he's got Jumanji, Welcome to the Jungle 2, or whatever it's going to be called.
Welcome 3 the Jungle?
Welcome to the Jungle. I just got it. And he's got that
It's numbers, folks.
He's got that to film in a couple of weeks, so therefore he wouldn't have the sort of preparation time necessary. But how much preparation time do you need?
How much time do we need for this show?
I take a week, but that's mainly just to charge the tablet.
It's very bright as well.
It is.
You look angelic over there.
Thank you. So we're moving on to Kevin Hart's forthcoming film and the controversy surrounding that. Because Bryan Cranston is starring opposite Kevin Hart in The Upside, and he's going to be playing Bryan Cranston, a wheelchair-using billionaire who hires a former criminal, played by Hart, to be his live-in carer. But Cranston has come under attack. I don't know if that's the fair term, or there's at least been questions raised about the fact that he is an able-bodied actor who is going to be playing a disabled character. But he said that his casting, rather than casting an actor who is quadriplegic, was simply a business decision on the part of the studio.
Just getting the name on the poster.
Yeah. Is that some... It's interesting when actors talk about this, because Ben Whishaw, I think, was asked about the fact that should straight actors be taking gay roles, and there's Darren Criss, who won the Golden Globe in the last week for his role as a gay serial killer in American Crime Story, said that he wouldn't be taking any more gay roles because he didn't want to take parts away from gay actors. Is there an argument that the industry is such that name recognition is always going to play a part, and therefore we can't expect unknowns to get those jobs?
I think so. And also, isn't the nature of acting to portray something that you might not be? Isn't that the nature of the job? Eddie Redmayne wins an Oscar, does he not, for being Stephen Hawking? Now you could say, well, Stephen Hawking was effectively able-bodied, became ill and
Yes.
went wheelchair-bound. So does that make that slightly
Possibly
different?
I suppose, but then there was Jake Gyllenhaal a couple of years ago. It was a film called Strong. I apologise if I got that wrong. Where he played a man who, I think I'm right in saying, lost his legs, or lost the use of his legs anyway, in the Boston bombing. And there was a lot of criticism of that because I think they used CGI in effect to present that in an accurate way, if you will. And is there an argument that if you could do that and go to that expense, why couldn't you use an actor without any legs and then use various aids to make it look like he could walk in the early parts of the film? I don't know how you solve it, but I also find it a bit of an easy cop-out from actors like Bryan Cranston, when I think I'm right in saying that there should be more opportunities for, in this particular case, disabled actors, but that he thought it was right that he should still take the role.
You forgot one very important thing, mate. On the agenda.
You're listening to the Shires and Island Agenda.
Life in Plastic.
It's fantastic.
You can brush my hair.
Margot Robbie is set to play the iconic Barbie in a live-action film. We discussed this on... Do you remember which episode it was?
Episode 4. I don't know. I'm making it up.
It does sound like episode 4, actually. Of course, nominated for Best Supporting Actress at the BAFTAs for playing Queen Elizabeth I in Mary, Queen of Scots, more of which later, perhaps. And Oscar nominated for her role as Tonya Harding in I, Tonya last year. Is it a bit of a come down to play a 6-inch plastic doll?
I think with the brand and the heritage of Barbie behind her, it doesn't really matter. And we've said on this programme before the idea of one for you, one for me. So maybe Margot doesn't want... Almost, is she engaged now being pigeonholed as a serious actress? Maybe she doesn't want that. You kind of got Harley Quinn in the middle, the other characters on the left, and maybe she needs something a bit more child and family friendly. Yeah, because everything's quite gritty and dark maybe that she's doing. So I think anybody in the working life wants variety, and it doesn't get any more interesting than being a She's not a human doll, though, is she? She's just a person that happens to be Barbie.
I think
she's not playing a doll that is Barbie.
I don't think she's playing a doll that is Barbie. Although, look, it's an option, isn't it? It's a choice. Is it weird that girls' dolls, quote unquote girls' dolls, have to be marketed in such a way these days as they say they present a positive image? And look, Robbie has apparently said that the doll promoted confidence, curiosity, and communication. You never got that with Action Man. It's just, here's a fighting doll, and that's it.
And Dr. X, boof.
Yeah. So
gonna beat you.
Is this the world that we're living in, where Mattel and the like have to get quite defensive about why Barbie's things are always pink, why a car's pink, why a Malibu Beach house is pink, or whatever, and you've got to actually justify it?
Yeah, and also in the early days it was purely a fashion doll. I think Barbie has matured, although you couldn't tell from her face, she looks better than ever. And nowadays, branching out, I noticed in the animated feature she has family, she has younger sisters, she's dealing with family problems and dynamics, sibling rivalry.
She wanted to get away from the hard hitting stuff.
And you've also got the fact that Barbie and the other kind of characters in that universe are...
Name one.
Ken,
other than Ken.
They're more diverse, and they're taking on the roles. So it's not just a case of now Barbie just looks good.
Yeah.
You can have a Barbie doll that's a scientist or what have you, because I think they were limited, and whether that was limiting youngsters who were growing up thinking, oh, if I'm a girl I can only look good, I don't think that's true. But I think Mattel have made a conscious effort to almost educate, perhaps through their dolls, that women can be things other than mere objects.
Yeah, but to flip it back again, why is it that you don't get the same for Transformers or for Action Man?
Like the pretty Transformer.
Well, no. Why is it we don't say, oh, this is really limiting for boys that they can only go and take down? What's the enemy of Action Man?
Dr. X.
Was it? Oh, was that Dr. X?
Yeah, it was Dr. X.
Did he have an organisation?
I'm not sure. I think it was just Dr. X, and there was Professor Gangrene as well.
Okay. Well, they don't. Boys don't just have to take down Dr. X and Professor Gangrene. They can also be vets or real estate agents, as they would say in the United States. Why isn't it that they don't have to defend themselves? They don't feel the need to defend themselves, whereas Mattel have to be defensive about Barbie.
It is a mash. It is a movie mash. A movie mash. A movie mash. It is a mash. It is a movie mash. A movie mash. A movie mash-up. It is a mash.
Okay, so it's time for movie mashups, and we take the titles of two films that run into one another. So the last word of one is the first word of the other. I've mashed the plots together as well, though. So I'm giving Tom a summation of the plot, and he has to work out what the films are. And I have to confess, this week's the hardest week we've ever had.
Oh.
So I'm going to ease you into it. Okay. A tortured musician struggling in the grip of alcoholism. An orphan lion cub with a natural talent for song. One searching for hope, one searching for a home. They will find both, and each other. But will they survive the glamour, the success, and life on the savannah? Starring Bradley Cooper and a CGI feline Lady Gaga.
Okay. So that sounds like A Star is Born.
It may be A Star is Born.
But then the other thing sounded like Lion King. But obviously it isn't.
It isn't Lion King.
But it could be a proper film about a lion. A Star is Born Free.
It is correct, yes.
Yes.
I don't know whether you would have the song as sung by Lady Gaga or Matt Monro, but either way it would be beautiful. Failing to make it as a pro, former golf prodigy Roy McAvoy, Kevin Costner, has found success in the intensely pressurized world of air traffic control. But when threatened by laid-back new arrival Russell Bell, Billy Bob Thornton, Roy's own sense of control begins to crack, leading to problems both professional and personal, all before driving Roy to have one last crack at the sporting success that previously eluded him, by qualifying for the US Open. Directed by Mike Newell, also starring Rene Russo, Kate Blanchett, and Cheech Marin.
Pushing Tin Cup.
That is brilliant. Well done. Congratulations on that. Yeah.
Yes.
Have you seen either of those?
No.
Films? Okay.
I'm just vaguely aware of the films. So thank you.
I did actually think the plot of that actually went together really well. So Mike Newell, get in touch. Moving on. Walt Disney Productions proudly presents this timeless retelling of Robert Louis Stevenson's classic tale of adventure and daring do, featuring pirates, chases, iconic monuments, hidden passageways, and the Declaration of Independence. Starring Nicolas Cage as cryptologist Long John Silver, Bobby Driscoll as computer whiz sidekick Jim Hawkins, and Sean Bean as the duplicitous Israel Hands.
National Treasure Island.
National Treasure Island, okay.
Thought you said this was difficult.
You're really catching.
Smashing it.
Okay. Acclaimed director Mike Leigh brings his intuitive and improvisational style to an action-packed examination of the hidden history of Robert Louis Stevenson's immortal creation, Long John Silver, Nicolas Cage. When one of his ancestors is accused of masterminding the Lincoln assassination, Silver must reunite with his estranged and downtrodden mother, Cynthia, Brenda Blethyn, and her working-class London family to discover the truth. A truth that will lead them in a thrilling hunt across the globe and to a series of awkwardly candid and personal, heartfelt revelations atop Mount Rushmore, also featuring John Voight, Phyllis Logan, and Claire Rushbrook.
So isn't this the same thing but with Book of Secrets? So it's
National Treasure Island,
Book of Secrets.
Book of Secrets,
2.
and
Yeah.
yeah,
Something else in there.
because that's no National Treasure, Book of Secrets. I've included I
Yeah.
brackets, but then it's the Secrets ... that is the second film.
Oh, but that's cheap. That's 3 though, isn't it?
No, National Treasure Island.
Right, you have to go again.
Is a bit of a jest. Acclaimed director Mike Leigh brings his intuitive and improvisational style to an action-packed examination of the hidden family history of Robert Louis Stevenson's immortal creation, Long John Silver, Nicolas Cage. When one of his ancestors is accused of masterminding the Lincoln assassination, Silver must reunite with his estranged and downtrodden mother, Cynthia, Brenda Blethyn, and her working-class London family to discover the truth. A truth that will lead them in a thrilling hunt across the globe and to a series of awkwardly
All right, it's hard now. It's hard. Are you happy?
awkwardly candid and personal heartfelt revelations atop Mount Rushmore. Also featuring John Voight, Phyllis Logan,
I don't know who that
Claire
is.
Rushbrook. Phyllis Logan is the housekeeper in Downton Abbey.
Right. No, I'm going to have to pass. I have no idea.
National Treasure, brackets Island, Book of Secrets and Lies.
Oh,
Secrets
no.
and Lies, it won the Palme d'Or, Mike Leigh.
No.
I think it wouldn't work quite so well as Pushing Tin Cup.
You're listening to the Shires and Island Agenda.
This is the agenda. Big, isn't it?
Now, I know our opinions very much differ when it comes to this series of films. I like the fact that it's a new breed. It's a new generation.
It's a mongrel.
That doesn't... No, I like the fact that it isn't a remake of the TV show.
It's just a remake of Star Trek 2.
I like that it's clean, it's fresh, it's different, and I think it still is Star Trekian, although just maybe made that bit more mainstream.
Okay.
So it's sold out a touch.
It's sold out, but in a good way.
Yeah, in the best possible way. So the first one's solid, the second one people hate it, and I really, really rate it. The third one is poor, and it may well be that the franchise doesn't get a chance to redeem itself.
No, it's been sabotaged, it would appear, because 2018 looks like it's going to mark the end of the new Star Trek series, with confirmation that the first female director for a Star Trek film, S.J. Clarkson, has now got another job, which we may well come on to later on in the show, but she's supposedly taken that job, which means that she is now unavailable for directing duties on Star Trek, although it may actually be the other way around. It may be that Star Trek not happening has freed her up to be available for whatever the other job happens to be, and that we may well come on to later. So, is this because the reception to the first three, certainly the last couple of films, hasn't been great, or is it actually because there are contract difficulties with Chris Pine, who obviously you need because he's Captain Kirk, and also Chris Hemsworth, because he's what's the name of his something?
Oh, what's his dad called?
Tom. It wasn't Tom. Was it?
No, I think it was. But anyway, it's his father that sadly perishes in the opening
5 minutes of the first
one. Yeah.
He was supposed to be coming back, which I don't think that was ever planned. I think it was simply a case of, Chris Hemsworth's big now. Well, he would have been playing Thor, so of course he's going to be bulked up. But it sounds like they couldn't agree terms with them either. So is it actually a case of the reception to the last ones wasn't that great? We'd have to pay a lot of money to get the Chris's back. Therefore, let's not.
He's too busy swinging his hammer.
Okay, but Would it disappoint you for there not to be another one, or do you think the way that the third one ended? I know you said you weren't that taken with it, but could it sort of be seen as a natural conclusion?
The third one was too episodic.
Okay.
So you might like the fact that it felt like a big budget version of an episode of Star Trek. That could be a real positive. To me, I go to the cinema for what I think's a more cinematic experience. And I've said it before that the first 3 of those Star Trek films all tell the same story. It's a captain of a ship that has been wronged in some way and is then trying to get revenge for it.
Yeah.
It happened with Nero. It happened with whatever his name was. Spoilers. Keep him spoilers for myself. What was his name?
Harrison, was it in the
John Harrison.
John Harrison.
And it happens with well, it's even more of a spoiler in the third one, but the captain in the third film.
Okay.
It's the same story just told 3 times. So that's not interesting to me, and I think perhaps creating something new, maybe Star Trek Discovery can go to the big screen.
I was going to say, is there just an argument that some franchises are more cut out for one milieu than the other? And that maybe the thing that appeals to people about Star Trek is the slow burn, episodic nature of it, to people that already like Star Trek, I suppose. And the whole idea of having to simplify things or water things down to make it more mainstream, to broaden it out, just doesn't work. Perhaps it particularly doesn't work if you haven't got a series to base it on. In the same way that I know we sort of divide over reception to the original series films, but at least people were already invested in those characters because they already watched the series, and in the same way with the Next Generation films.
Yeah, so for me, Star Wars hits it big in 1977, so Star Trek gets in on the act, 2 years later, was it?
Yes, that was the entire reason that Paramount, I think it was, that made Star Trek film, because they wanted to get some of that sweet, sweet Star Wars money.
Yeah. So then you have stars getting too big, so they end up having to be in films rather than the fact that the TV series, I guess, is cancelled when?
Oh, the TV series had been cancelled ages ago,
So
so it was only doing it on syndication.
The fact that it's then resurrected is great. And then what happens with Next Generation then? Is it a case of they're not going to make that anymore, so it makes the leap to the big screen? What was the rationale there?
I think it was simply a case that they weren't going to get the original cast back after Star Trek 6. So
For a prolonged period, or
yes,
to make a series.
So therefore, let's transition in the same way the TV series did. And again, I think First Contact in particular is a very good Star Trek film that stands up on its own. But I just think it might be best if it is CBS, I think, that make Star Trek. Just focus on making Discovery, and because there's the Picard spin-off coming, they're doing more animated stuff as well, it's been confirmed. Just make it as varied and as different, and you can have your own TV cinematic universe, and it can be a big success. And you've done it once already, why not do it again? Or twice already, you could argue.
New stuff, please. Is this just, as an item, going to serve for Netflix to boast about their numbers again?
I think of it as a follow-up to what we discussed last time when we were talking about Sandra Bullock and her Bird Box.
Bird Box returns? Bird Box again?
Bird Box again, I like. Because does that mean that last week's retroactively becomes Bird Box Begins? But we spoke in the last episode about the fact that it had been viewed 45 million accounts. This is the important part.
And then I even said on last week's show that an account can have a handful of profiles.
Yes.
So you could actually multiply that number up, because it could be that you could have had 4 or 5 different people on one account watch it, and therefore that would be 5 views rather than 1. So it depends how they're doing their calculations.
Because in a way, this story seems like it's been downscaled rather than upscaled, because Nielsen, who are the big American ratings monitoring company, say that Bird Box, the Netflix production, has been watched by nearly 26 million people over the course of its first week. That's the second highest number for Netflix since the second highest first 7 days number for Netflix since the second season of Stranger Things 2, and in fact it was very, very close to that as well. Reached 3.5 million people on its first day, which is actually lower than Will Smith. Do you remember the Will Smith Netflix film that came out sort of this time last year, or it was actually late 2017, Bright? Will Smith.
Oh, it was like Strange Aliens on your porch.
Actually, well, no, they were supposed to be fantasy sort of creatures.
Oh, because I remember the ad, and there was all these strange goblin type things just hanging out on an American street.
Yeah, well, that got 5.4 million people in its first day, but only got 20 million views in its first week. So, as I say, Bird Box, 26 million unduplicated people. And it actually sounds like more people watching it by the end of the week than the start, and also that in that target demographic of millennials, 36% of its viewers were between 18 and 34 years old. Now, I'm not sure whether Nielsen has only decided or discovered that these 26 million are US based, or whether it's global. I'm not aware.
Is it a full watch? Because I know we were discussing last week that part watches did count towards the original Netflix number.
So just to clarify this for me, how does that work then, that they can say 45 million accounts have watched it, but only 26 million people have watched it? And Nielsen basically saying, well, they're suggesting there that it's a full watch.
I don't know how it works. I'm baffled by the whole thing.
Well, I was going to broaden it out a bit, therefore. Is this something that we always have to be wary of in the future then when it comes to Netflix?
To reporting numbers from Netflix. I think the other thing is,
other streaming services.
Are Netflix publicly traded?
Netflix, like that.
Are they publicly traded?
Well, because you're saying they're going to have to announce certain figures.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is, from that point of view, they can't inflate their numbers because that would create false confidence in shares and markets and things. So is this Nielsen actually trying to take Netflix down a peg or two?
They're almost like an Ofcom equivalent, you could argue, in this sense that they're sort of saying you can't give a false impression of how well you're doing because that will be detrimental.
Allegedly.
Allegedly, yeah. We don't know, but eventually someone will tell us.
The agenda has taught you well.
You're listening to Shires and Agenda.
I think it was last week or maybe a couple of weeks ago, we discovered the title of Mike's autobiography, which was Unsettling Fantasy. Don't worry, it'll be on a highlights package.
Available in no good bookshops, but in the bad ones, they've got it by the bucket lad.
It will be on a highlights package coming to a network, Shires and Island network near you. It seems Netflix now are investing in my autobiography, namely Love, Death and Robots.
Is the comma important here?
Yes.
Okay, just to check.
It's not Love, Death.
David Fincher of what's your favourite David Fincher film? Do you like Seven?
Too much of everything for me.
Too much of everything, okay. And Deadpool's director, Tim Miller, the original Deadpool director, because he didn't come back for the sequel because he and Ryan Reynolds didn't really get on. Well, they're teaming up to create an anthology of animated shorts for the aforementioned Netflix. And
I prefer animated shirts, but I'll tell you what I can get.
Titled Love, Death, Robots. It's going to be 18 animated short stories in genres including science fiction, horror and comedy. They're going to be executive producing. Each episode is only going to be between 5 and 15 minutes long.
That's alright. Well, it depends what style of animation they're using, doesn't it? If they were stop motioning it, for example, it's going to take them a fair while.
Oh, so you're saying just crank it out as quickly as possible and get that sweet cash. Total runtime of 185 minutes if you watch them all together. Going to feature traditional 2D and photoreal 3D CGI animation, and it's aimed at an adult audience. Do you think that's something that is markedly different to, say, 20, 30 years ago, that animation does seem to be getting recognition as a genre for all ages now? Although appropriately enough, this it's for all ages, and that there is animation for everybody. Just don't let everybody watch all animation.
Yeah. So, for example, Family Guy, I think, is one of the key shows that has taken maybe an audience that was growing up with The Simpsons and kind of grabbed them and run with them, and South Park as well. So it's nothing new, is it? The kind of the naughty, cheeky cartoon,
but not just naughty in the sense of irreverent, but also depicting adult material, let's put it that way. Could it get the acclaim as well, ultimately? Because talking about awards earlier on, and I think it's fair to say that VFX heavy films don't get the recognition at awards ceremonies that they do with the public again, as we sort of touched on. Could you see animations actually winning Best Picture? I mean, Beauty and the Beast famously was nominated for Best Picture, but since then, has there been anyone that's come close?
I think if they won't allow a seemingly popular film to be Best Picture, the idea of a wholly animated film doing the same, particularly with the Best Animated Feature category now, I think it's just not going to happen.
That's just shunting it off, isn't it, really?
Could you get nominations in both? Would that be appropriate?
I think you should be able to get nominated in both, but I'm sure probably you are allowed to. But it does sound like it's turning animated films into second-class citizens. But yeah, it's something Netflix is pushing into at the moment, and has all upcoming titles including Tuca and Bertie, Hoops, and Carmen Sandiego's back.
Where on earth is?
Netflix. Also featuring BoJack Horseman, Disenchantment, which is the new Matt Groening.
I saw an article
series
on it in a publication that no longer exists. I used to get a free magazine.
We're getting a bit existential, aren't we?
I used to get a free magazine on a Wednesday called The Shortlist in Leeds, which was just like a general entertainment fair magazine, but it no longer exists. I think it's because they gave it away for free.
It was not a great
business model. No.
F is for Family as well is also coming out on Netflix.
It's round, it's purple, it shows you what to view. It's Mike's Big W.
So then it's time for...
Oh, sorry, did you need me?
Go on then, do
I was just making some notes in the corner.
So what to watch, because it's Freeview Film of the Week.
Absolutely, I've got my pen and paper ready.
Freeview Film of the Week, you're doing it?
Well, no, I'm not doing it, because I'm going to write it down when you said it.
But I thought you said Freeview Film of the Week in your Freeview Film of the Week voice.
No, I've got other things to do, sorry.
Okay, cannot multitask. So it's when we go through
I can, I just don't want to. I'm just going to take notes.
It's when we go through the films that are on in the next 7 days and tell you what to look out for. And starting off this coming Saturday night on BBC 2.
Channel 2.
Oh, you've got enough time to do that. At 9:45, that is 9:45. It's Manchester by the Sea. Kenneth Lonergan directing Casey Affleck and Michelle Williams in the searing drama that came out a couple of years ago and was up for many an award. So one to look out for if you like your high-end stuff. Moving on to Monday on Film 4.
Channel 24.
Channel 15.
Which one's 24?
ITV4.
Oh, I got cocky. It's got a 4 in it, though.
I'm going
to go back to my notes.
On 11 on said channel. Mentioned it before that Mary Queen of Scots out at Cinemaplexes at the moment. And it's Margot Robbie who is playing Elizabeth I in that. But if you go back to 1995, it was countrywoman Kate Blanchett who was playing the Virgin Queen opposite Geoffrey Rush, Christopher Eccleston, Joseph Fiennes in a film that doesn't necessarily play especially close to historicity, if I'm thinking that's the right word. But Michael Hurst, who wrote it, went on to create the Tudors and Vikings. So
sexy.
At least he got something out of it. And no, to be fair, Kate Blanchett in particular, Oscar nominated for that, is very good indeed. So that's on Monday. On Tuesday on Film 4.
Oh, what is it? Channel number 15.
Correct. At 5 to 7, Gugu Mbatha Raw is a name who's been linked with many a large role in recent years. She's one of the breakthrough British stars. And back in 2013,
What's her name, sorry?
Gugu Mbatha Raw.
What's she been in?
I'm trying to think now, but she's been up for many a superhero role. I think she was suggested as Black Canary in the forthcoming Harley Quinn film, but she's had a lot of supporting roles in major films and TV series. But yes, she played Belle in Belle back in 2013, who was a African girl who was adopted by an aristocratic family and was sort of raised as an upper-class woman in the late 18th, early 19th century, and it sort of tells her story with the backdrop of the pressure on the government to bring an end to the slave trade. So yes, if you want a period drama with a difference, Belle is very much one to look out for on Tuesday on Film 4. On Tuesday on Film 4 at 9 p.m, Film 4 being channel number 15. Correct. It's a more recent real event that has been dramatised not once but twice in the last couple of years. The Hatton Garden Job gets its premiere on Film 4 on Tuesday, and of course this is the diamond robbery carried out by a number of old lags, or is that making them sound too appealing? Because this is the problem with what sounded like a carry-on story when the headlines broke about the fact that you got all these old age pensioners breaking into a diamond. It's not a bank, is it? It's
it was like a storage facility, wasn't it?
Yes. It sounded sort of Lavender Hill mob and quite charming, but I think the men involved, none of them were especially pleasant characters. But it's been dramatised twice now. The Hatton Garden Job was the one that got to cinemas first back in 2017. Larry Lamb playing the sort of leader of the group, but more recently, I think it was King of Thieves starring Michael Caine came out in sort of, I want to say, sort of August, September time of last year. Neither of them got great reviews, but if you want to watch something that is recent in more ways than one, the Hatton Garden Job on Tuesday night is one to go for. I'd also like to recommend Rob Roy on Tuesday at 9pm, so if you want something a bit different at 9pm on the Sony Movie Channel.
Channel number 35.
32. Oh. You are doing better though.
Thank you.
Congratulations. Rob Roy came out the same year as Braveheart. What?
Nothing.
You're going to say something. You're going to say something detrimental. He's thinking about it. It's Liam Neeson playing Rob Roy McGregor, and I do have to say it's got one of my favourite cinematic sword fights between him and Tim Roth. Very different styles, makes for a very good fight, as they always say, isn't it, when it comes to boxing. But our
Preview film of the week.
Our preview film of the week is.
What you said? I just said it.
No, because I'm actually saying. Oh, were you saying it?
That was it.
Because you had guessed the next one I was going to say.
Yeah,
was the free.
I was doing it for you. I've been helpful.
Thank you, Tom. Our preview film.
Preview film? No, you're not saying it. It's my turn.
Our.
No, I've said it twice now.
You don't get it 3 times. On Sony Movie Channel, which doesn't often get preview film of the week, so...
Channel number 32.
Channel 32. It's on straight after Rob Roy. It's Liam Neeson. It must be a Liam Neeson night on the Sony Movie Channel. No sign of Les Miserables. It's him opposite Pierce Brosnan in 2006's Seraphim Falls. It's a western with them playing former officers on different sides of the US Civil War, and now Liam Neeson's character is a bounty hunter tracking down Pierce Brosnan's character. It's a very different role for Pierce Brosnan because he doesn't really have much to say at all, and he certainly isn't very appealing for much of the film, and it's him living out and surviving out in the wilds of the West, in the harsh wintry wilds of the West, and being chased by the remorseless Liam Neeson. So what
He will find you.
we will find. Yeah,
and he will.
So Seraphim Falls. It's got a very good soundtrack, as I recall, as well. Although it's not available for purchase.
Welcome back. You've been such a cold finger all night, Mike. Are you ready for the final round?
You rang.
For tonight's grand prize, no guarantee of an Oscar win, your category is All That Glitters. To celebrate the Golden Globes, all you have to do is name the following golden movies. There are bonus points for carrots, panning, and this round may contain spoilers. The quiz ends when you enter his web of sin. Are you ready to begin?
Yes.
Gold! Always believe in your soul. Begin. He had the Midas touch, but he touched it too much. Hey.
Gold member?
Austin Powers and Gold member, yes. Richer and shinier than the Lion King. It's John and Rice's finest work.
Elton John, other than the Lion King. Was it the Lost City of Gold? Was it something like that?
It's something like
El
that.
Dorado, was it?
Yes, The Road to El Dorado. But El Dorado was on big letters on the posters. You can have that. A secret agency wants James Bond dead when all he wants is some special powder.
It's not gold. It's not Goldfinger, is it?
No, it's not.
It's a James Bond film that's got gold.
No, it's not. Not necessarily. It's just got someone who's a James Bond in it. Special powder.
Special powder.
If I tell you the secret agency that's after him is the Magisterium, would that help you out?
Oh, it's the Golden Compass.
It is the Golden Compass.
Very good.
When an elf can't keep a promise, a robot-crushing demon is our only hope.
An elf can't keep a... Elf. It's not Santa Claus the movie.
Golden Films.
Golden Films. Oh, it's Hellboy the Golden Army.
Hellboy 2, the Golden Army, yes. Disney Classic 43.
43. Which one was number 43? Golden.
Doesn't necessarily have gold in the title, it could have...
Yellow?
Well, no.
Orange.
There should be a kind of golden element to the film. Maybe it's about seeking for things, riches.
Seeking for riches. Aladdin. Is it Aladdin?
It's not Aladdin.
Is that around 43?
No, 43 is much more modern. It's 2000s.
2000s, okay.
We've already mentioned it twice, or versions of it twice on the show tonight.
Mary Queen of Scots. Treasure Island. Treasure Planet.
Treasure Planet. With Georgia on his mind, the lone prospector needs the money.
Lone Prospect. Is it? Oh, it's the. Is it the Daniel Day-Lewis film?
No. Much earlier than that.
The Lone Prospector. I think it's. Is it the John Huston film?
Earlier.
Oh, it's Charlie Chaplin. It's Charlie Chaplin. It's Gold Rush.
The Gold Rush.
Gold Rush.
James Bond is back, and just in the nip of time.
Nip of time. It's not Goldfinger.
Goldfinger!
James Bond's back. Is it Roger Moore? Was the Roger Moore film called Gold?
This actually is a James Bond film.
It's actually a James Bond in the nip of Goldeneye. What?
No!
It's a James Bond film that's got gold in it and the nip of time. Gold. I've said go. Oh, Scaramanga, the man with the golden gun.
Man with the golden gun. Nip. They couldn't be fonder of their new ward. Father-daughter silence is golden, but not as glistening as their lakeside home.
Lakeside home. Lakeside home. Oh, silent. On Golden Pond.
Yes, they couldn't be fonder. Fonda.
I need to explain how clever I am.
He did it his way, did his time, and now he's going straight with difficulty.
And Michael Caine. Is it Michael Caine in The Italian Job?
He did it his way, did his time, and now he's going straight with difficulty. He did it his way.
Frank Sinatra. I don't know.
He played music from it on a previous version of this show.
Frank Sinatra in Chicago. Was to say Chicago? No. Hands. Something with his hands. Something with reaching out. Something with wings. He's got wings. He's got lovely flowing wings. Frank Sinatra in Robin and the Seven Hoods.
What's this?
Your arm.
Yes, go for it.
Frank Sinatra in arms. Frank Sinatra up in arms.
It's a better title. The Man with the Golden Arm.
Oh, because it was about a baseball player.
Yes. And finally, James Bond is back in Make Mine a Flood.
Make Mine a Flood. Not GoldenEye.
This isn't a James Bond film.
Not a James Bond film, but with a James Bond actor. Mine a Flood.
Make Mine.
Gold Mine. It's the one with Roger Moore. Gold.
You've got the power to know, Mike. You're a winner!
Push his buttons and turn him on. Sent from the temperature to beat the modern. 900 channels watch paint on the wall. He's the hero who'll save us all. Goggletron, Goggletron, put it on, it's called a Goggletron. Goggletron, Goggletron.
Here talking about a show nobody watches, Mike Island.
Nobody
And
watches.
it's not this show because you don't watch it, you listen to it.
Well, you can look at the picture.
You can. After a while it winks.
Nobody watched it because it hasn't been made yet, technically. The forthcoming Game of Thrones spin-off, prequel spin-off, is going to be directed by S.J. Clarkson, the aforementioned S.J. Clarkson, who is now stood down from Star Trek 4, or the other way around possibly, because she's taken up this, so she's no longer able to do Star Trek 4. It's going to be directed by her. She's also going to be one of the showrunners, as it were, or at least an executive producer. She's got previous credits as directing, I think, Jessica Jones and The Defenders, so she's certainly got some reputation of directing TV, but that looks big budget and cinematic. And they've also announced some of the final members of the cast. If you remember, it was Naomi Watts, who seems like she's going to be playing the lead role, but they've announced the likes of Naomi Aki, who is going to be featuring in Star Wars Episode 9 as well, but she's going to be one of the leads in this new Game of Thrones series. Alongside Georgie Henley. Do you remember the youngest of the Pevensey children in the Chronicles of Narnia, Lucy?
Yes.
She's all grown up and she's now going to be in a Game of Thrones prequel, which bodes well.
Still dragons and that, innit?
Still, it is very much so. Ivana Jeremiah, Denise Gough, Jamie Campbell Bower. Now, Jamie Campbell Bower starred in Camelot, which, if you remember, came out the same year as Game of Thrones. There was a lot of talk at the time of which one's going to be the big success.
I've never heard of Camelot.
Oh, well, I'm going to say it was on Stars and shown on Channel 4 over here. I had Eva Green, James Purfoy, and Joseph Fiennes in it, so that it had bigger names in it, but it was Jamie Campbell Bower who played Arthur, who was sort of him as a teenager. And all I'm going to say, he's now been listed as one of the minor supporting characters in the new Game of Thrones spin-off, so Camelot didn't really stick around very long. But yeah, these all could be names that we're going to come to be familiar with in years to come, because of course the Game of Thrones actors, the likes of Richard Madden and Sophie Turner and Maisie Williams, have all gone on to establish careers for themselves, so it could be these sorts of people that we're going to be hearing about big things in the years to come.
And what's it called? Because we messed up first time.
Still hasn't been confirmed what it's going to be called, but I think that's
The Longest Winter?
The working
The
title.
Long Night?
The Long Night is the working
With an N.
with an N rather than, well, if it's got a K, it's got an N in it as well. Otherwise, it'd be the Long Kite.
Yeah, but a knight.
The Long Kite. With a really long tail, which would be good for dragons.
Keep it secret. Keep it agenda.
You're listening to the Shires Island Agenda. It's been a pleasure, as always.
As Andrea Bocelli would say, time to say goodbye.
Oh, does he do it? Bit of a weepy.
He got the new album.
With his son?
With his son, yeah. It's Ed Sheeran's on it as well, and Dua Lipa.
Cool.
So, yeah, listening to that over...
I don't know who that is.
Big selling artist Dua Lipa in the UK and internationally.
Until next time. Take
Until
care.
next time.
Ta-ra now.
Bye, everybody.